This previous meeting for April 8th. Can I get a motion? Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, a motion to approve it as presented. Director Zant, second by Director Mack. Any opposed? Motion carries. In honor of the Lillooet, I'd like to recognize that collectively we are on the unceded territory of the Lillooet Nation. Number 3, can I get a resolution regarding the ministerial order number M192, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll move that.
Director Mack, second by Director Zant. Any opposed? Motion carries. Would anybody like to remove anything from number 4, the consent agenda?
Nope.
Seeing none, can I get it moved as presented?
Moved as presented.
Seconded by Director Mack. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any business arising from minutes? Seeing none. We're going to go on to the SLRD CAO verbal update in a second here, but let's just check in. Have we managed to get in contact with her, Christian? No? Okay, well, we'll keep moving along. CAO Helmer, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Just one thing today. I just wanted to let you know that the Pemberton Valley Transit Study that the SLRD is currently conducting in partnership with the Village of Pemberton and Lillooet Nation is going to have a survey going out shortly. So you can expect to see that through all 3 of our organization's channels. And it's being conducted by Watt Consulting Group. And we're all going to be promoting that too to get as much input as we can from people across the valley. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Motion received.
Oh.
Second.
Motion.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Village of Pemberton CO update. Ms. Gilmore?
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Then we're on to 6.3, which is VOP shelf ready projects. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. All righty. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Jan.
Hi.
Okay, we're on 6.3, Jan. We're just getting going here.
Yeah. With my computer and that, I can't bring up the agenda with.
Okay, 6.3 is the VOP shelf ready projects, and I'll let Ms. Gilmore speak to that.
Thank you very much. So this report is being presented to the committee. We talked a little bit about it as we were preparing budget, so in preparations for the 5-year financial plan. And as we've seen over the past several months in particular, but years, is when funding opportunities come about, there's usually a very tight turnaround. And we have started sort of reviewing what capital projects we could be looking at to get them in a shelf-ready situation so that we can take advantage of those opportunities as they become available. So what we, for a moment, I'm just going to get down to that page. What staff have done is they've pulled together sort of a little bit of a history of some of the amenities that we have seen go on at the community center site, which include the facility itself. In addition, a couple of years after that was built and operational, there was the installation of the spray park. And then over the past several years, you'll see there have been a variety of nature play space phases. I believe we're at 3 right now, and there's 1 more left to go, from like a butterfly garden to what you'll see as the basketball hoops now at this point with the soccer kick area. So obviously we've seen a lot of development happen over the past several years, and there's always a bit of a demand for improvements to some of these amenities. In particular, the spray park gets very well used in the summertime. And so staff have identified that they would like to expand the spray park. And so they've pulled together a few numbers. I don't have all the numbers here. I know staff are still working at them. So current projects, in addition to, the spray park expansion is shown as potential future projects. What staff did in this report as well, they've identified those that have been approved through this budgeting process. for this year for 2021, which include the Great Hall noise panels, the second floor water fountain in the community center, some upgrades to the CCTV for security purposes, and the youth center heating and cooling. And I know at this point, they are wanting to move ahead pretty quick with looking at the heating and cooling system, just to be in line with the heat of the seasons that are coming, that summer that's coming. So they'd like to get a jump on that as soon as budget's approved, which I do believe it was approved at the last meeting. So future potential projects, phase 4, as I indicated, of the Nature Play Park, addition of shade structures. While we do have some trees in that area, they're mostly localized around the spray park, and they're still growing, and some additional shade would be welcome out there. Additional outside furnishings and the spray park expansion. So the one project we've talked about for the past several years is the outdoor basketball court. We've worked closely with the School District 48 to look at having the basketball court installed on the school site. If you look on page 22, you'll see that unfortunately there maybe wasn't communication between the school district and the PAC or the school itself. And the fact was that some community garden beds have been installed in the location of where we had identified the basketball courts to go. So recently the manager of recreation has been in discussions with School District 48.
Yes.
And from my understanding, there was also going to be an expectation that we needed to maintain and supervise sort of daily inspections of the basketball courts on Signal Hill Elementary School grounds, which we weren't aware of. That wasn't something we'd had discussions of, just whether or not we could install it. The discussions were, which we'd given permission. So as a result of all of the above, staff have gone back and looked at an alternative site. And one that has been suggested is actually on the Great Hall, or the Great Lawn, just outside of the community center, closest to where the Mount Currie Coffee Company building is located. Staff have indicated that this allows them to keep a little bit more of an eye on the happenings as far as maintenance, cleanup, garbage removal, etc. It would be a preferred location for them. We would also be able to provide some screening with the addition of some trees in that area. And we would have less approvals and agreements to go through, as it's property that's owned and managed through this committee. So you'll see on page 23 and 24 are the approximate locations of where that amenity could go. And the hope would be that we'd be able to get this done by the end of the year. At this point, we understand that the asphalt companies are about 80% booked up. So we'd like to try and secure them as quickly as we could to fill in that remaining 20% that they have available. So what we were looking for today was to see if there's support from the committee to move ahead with the installation of the basketball court on the Great Lawn. So we can proceed with—
Let's get it done right away.
That's what we'd like to do.
Hang on. Okay, so are you done, Nikki?
Yep, I'll stop there.
Okay, so I'd like to break this into two bits here. The first is the shelf-ready projects that she mentioned, just so we don't lose sight of that part of the update. Are there any questions or thoughts on that? Everybody good with that?
As far as which priorities?
It's not even which priorities. This is more of an update or an information report to allow PVIS to know that these are things that have been identified as projects, shelf-ready projects, and as grants come available, we'll continue to apply for them, just so that it's not a surprise or too late. So it's just to make sure that PVIS the rest of the committee remembers that these are projects that we've identified and they're sitting on the shelf waiting to go when we find money.
Thank you, Chair. I agree. I agree with the way this is set up to encourage projects, potential future projects. So.
Director Kennett.
Yeah, I agree as far as that goes. I just have one comment on the basketball court. It's
okay. So before we get
disappointing.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Director.
So I just still have a question on the shelf-ready projects. If there was an appetite, it seems to me things like play park extension, shade covers, those sorts of things could be eligible for recovery funds. And if there was an appetite from the committee and both the SLRD and the VOP to use recovery funds, is that something we could consider?
I think we could. I think the challenge is we have a lot of projects we're already working on this year. And I'm not sure, you know, as we go through and we do our spending, we could come back and see. We have to recall that there also is a matching component that would require both the village and the SLRD to contribute the recovery funds. So I'm not sure where each of those balances are. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to bring information back as we get through some of these projects, but I just don't want to say we could move ahead with them if we just don't have capacity at this time.
Okay. I would like to, if the rest of the committee is in agreement, I would like us to keep that under consideration. We had some, I don't want to say extra funds, but from our budget that we put in the rec budget into reserve and kept the requisition flat, we were still able to do that. So we could have some matching funds there as well. So yeah. I don't know, it seems to me the shade cover in that area and spray park would be a good idea, especially if we do look at the basketball court on the green lawn. So yeah, I would like us to consider that. Go ahead.
What I'd like to do is staff had some numbers they were going to maybe verbally report back, but I think it would be a good idea to, once we get to that place, bring back a little bit more detail as to what each of those different projects will cost. And then we can have another conversation on when we can proceed with those. Potentially the fall could be a time when, you know, maybe when the Great Hall isn't being used so much. I'm still foreseeing we're going to see a lot of people outside this summer and encouraging being outside. So we don't want to disrupt that area much. But I just don't have numbers for you. So I can't really, you know, I don't want to say, yes, let's commit this amount when I can't provide that to you.
Well, staff is working through these shelf-ready projects, and that's what they are, shelf-ready. And then if the rest of the committee is in agreement, I would like to see those numbers come back to us when they're ready, and we could have that conversation. A shade area might not disrupt the outdoor space that much. It would be a great thing to have out there this summer. So is the rest of the committee good with that?
Yes.
Yes, I am. I think it's important to have some kind of seating and shade there as quickly as we can.
Yeah, it would be a great addition. Okay. Do you want a motion to that effect, Nikki?
I think that would be great.
Okay, so a motion to have recreation staff put together the numbers on some of these shelf-ready projects to bring back to PVIS for discussion for funding.
I'll move that.
Good motion.
Opposed? Motion carries.
No, I'm not opposed.
Okay, if there's nothing more on that, then we'll go basketball court. Go ahead, Director Kennett.
Yeah, just regarding the basketball court, I thought that the numbers were already sort of there, right, to get it built, that I was on those monies are set aside for it, that the funding is there.
I think we're
it's just a little bit like we're back at square one, because this is where it was originally proposed. And now it's moved a little further, which I think is better. Than you're not going to be interfering with the apartment buildings and noise level and that sort of thing. So I think the location is fine. I just like to see us get started with it. This has been over 4 years, and it's unfortunate that there's been a stalemate with the school board and everything. So let's move forward on it and get it built.
Thank you. So on the funding, Ms. Gilmore, we have enough funds set aside, I believe, for the asphalt court, but not for the nicer finish, correct?
Correct.
And we're still going, hopefully, to other funding sources for that, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Can we not start with an asphalt and then upgrade as we go along?
Potentially, yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Gilmore.
So that is the intention. We only finalized the remaining funds in this year's budget. So now that we have all the funds, because we were waiting to get money from a grant application that actually never materialized. We were hoping Worcester Blackcomb would have an intake. They usually have 2 a year, and they never had one last year as a result of the pandemic. So the issue right now, now for 2021, is not the fact that we don't have funds, but that things have changed with the location. We don't see any, if the committee is happy and gives us the go ahead to proceed with the Great Lawn, we can start scheduling the contractors to get it done. And the intention was always to start with the asphalt basketball court, because we need to have that as the base layer regardless if another surface is going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks. So,
Sure.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Director Mack.
Yeah, just what is the added cost for the other surface? Like it goes on top of the asphalt. Mm-hmm. So how much will that be to do that?
I can't recall. It's been in a few reports. The other thing too is that through some discussion, I would prefer if we could bring back a staff report. There's been some indication that having it as an outdoor surface may not be suitable as far as wear and tear. But I've only had a verbal conversation. I haven't seen details on that. And before we make a decision, I would like to bring that back to the committee so that you can hear the information we've been provided. Regardless, I think we can still proceed with this. As I mentioned, it doesn't cause any issues if we were to put another surface on top of it.
I'd like to see that number too. And there are lots of good outdoor durable surfaces. So I played on them and they're out there last winter after winter. So if it's a different surface than we've researched, then I'd like to know what that is and how much it costs, because
yep.
Yeah, I agree with Director Mack on that. In terms of the location, everybody, I mean, you know, on one hand, I think it's better next to the rec site. It's a little more lit, or next to the rec center. The kids will be out. I don't know. I feel like it's a little more open, kind of like the skateboard park. It adds to that whole hub of outdoor activity. So I think, and it's easy for our staff to look after and all that. I feel it'll get even more usage there as well. So I think it's really good on that aspect. I do feel that people are going to be upset that we're taking away grass area. How do the rest of you feel about that?
Sure, Richard.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, basically, I think, yeah, we're taking some grass area away, but we're putting something in that will be used, I think, way more than the grass area is. I know there's a lot of people that walk their dogs through there and whatnot, but the amount of people I've seen playing basketball by the rec and in the schoolyard, I think it's only going to bring more people to that area. I don't have a problem myself with putting a basketball court there. And I agree with Director Mack as well. The quicker, the sooner the better we get that project completed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. How do the other two of you feel about that? Director Mack, what do you think about the loss of grass? I think some people will be upset.
I think it's just something that we have to do. And I actually, I think in hindsight, this is probably a far better location because we have full control of the area. Dealing with the school board is not exactly a fun thing. They always seem to have every impediment in a way to make it difficult. And so this way, we don't have to deal with them. I think it'll be a wonderful addition to the community. And it'll get lots of use. Yep. So I'm fully supportive. And like I say, the sooner the better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I was just on the other side of the child center, there by the community or the seniors and the youth center building. Is there areas there you can plant more grass and put up a picnic table and that sort of thing behind that?
Go ahead, Nikki.
Are you referring to sort of the asphalt piece that's on if you're like looking at the rec sort of on the left?
Well, it's sort of behind it, like sort of say towards where Doucettes live.
Yeah, unfortunately,
is there area there?
Yeah, it's a separate lot, and that's actually part for it's leased to the daycare, and we're contemplating expansion of the daycare on that particular lot. They are separate.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we could plant some grass there in the meantime. Just an idea.
I think it's asphalt there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a fire lane, so we can't obstruct that. I did want to mention a couple of things that there is a significant issue with off-leash dogs and the dogs using this as a bathroom, which this will alleviate a little bit of that. Just so everyone knows, we are going to be installing in the next few months over just past the BMX park on lot 13, where the skateboard park is as well, is a fenced dog park. So there will be some areas for people to take their dogs to have an off-leash area. But we've had to do a lot of enforcement with the people and dogs on this particular piece of green space. So maybe it would reduce it a bit. In addition, we want to make sure that we're getting some public consultation out. Even though this is sort of a designated area for recreation, I do feel that we may get some feedback on the noise. And I think before we start it, we just want to let people know that this is coming and just identifying, you know, what the noise hours are, that we're going to be putting up some screening and sort of when the timeline is. So once if we get approval to proceed with this, those will sort of be our next steps.
Thanks for that. I was going to suggest that if the motion goes, it sounds like it's going, that would be a part of it or a separate motion, because this will cause consternation for a number of people. Anytime we take green space away, people, you know, even though it's for a good, healthy recreational activity, and I think it's good that we can point to, you know, now we'll have a better off-leash dog area. Now we're gonna have more off-leash teenagers though, but we'll do that. But I know there's going to be some pushback, especially for those people whose windows are pretty close above where the court's going to be in, forget the name of the building there, but where Mount Currie Coffee Co. is. So I'll be, you know, I'm supportive of the direction Pevis is going. I think we need to bring this back to council because it's a substantial change to that landscape. So they're gonna want, the rest of council will want some input and a better understanding on how we communicate to this to the public. I think is going to be really important. Okay. Any other thoughts? Would somebody like to make a motion that, and I'm wondering, we have another meeting in a month, right? We want to get this done. I'm just wondering what the motion sounds like. It's got to go to the board and council as well. Is the motion to just wide open proceed, or is it to proceed with planning for the basketball court in this new location and the consultation that goes with it? You know what I mean, Nikki?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So a motion to direct staff to proceed with the planning of the basketball court project in the new location and to put together a communications package. I
would say, like, with the planning's done. So it's really for the construction of the basketball court in this location, and that and associated public consultation on the new location or something along those lines.
I'm just reluctant to go to have a motion that's completely green light until we've done a couple other steps, i.e. gone to council and done some communication.
You could say, you know, it's something to the effect that, you know, pending approval from council, if that's something you're wanting. I mean, it needs to go to the board, but it's, you know.
The board generally supports Pevis unless there's something really blatant or controversial.
Or you could just wait on doing a resolution and have this referred, or just say that, you know, this will be discussed at the next Pevis meeting.
I'm as keen, this is directed to the other three of you. I'm as keen as the rest of you to get this done for sure. I just feel it'll be a little bit sensitive. So are you guys, my reluctance?
I think we should give it the green light and let's move forward with some consultation. You know?
How about we do information sharing? Do we, I mean, we have to figure out now, are we wanting, if we're doing public consultation, I'm not saying we don't want to have feedback, but I'm saying, is this a project that you want to proceed with? If we get some pushback, which we will on everything, you know, is this something we won't proceed with because we don't have an alternative site? I don't feel as though the rec site's probably it's too far out of town. We could probably find a location there, but we also need to contemplate how, and if this is a project that you really want to proceed with.
Well, go ahead, Director Mack and then Director Kennett.
Yeah, I just think that, the pushback that we get, we're just going to have to live with it and explain the situation. But that rec center complex is a recreation complex center. So the lands are meant for recreation. I mean, you've got across the street, you've got the bike park, you've got the skateboard park. So in that area complex, you've got a multitude of recreation opportunities. And all this is adding another one to the site.
Yeah.
So, and we do it with due diligence. We make sure, like you say, you're always going to have somebody that's not going to be happy, but we have to make sure that the fence around is high enough. It, keeps the ball sitting inside as much as possible. We screen it so that coffee company building is protected as much as possible. I think it's absolutely more than doable. So that's why I think we need to, move this process along, however we do it.
Okay.
But it needs to be done as quickly as possible, I believe.
Okay. Go ahead, Director Kennett.
Yeah, I just agree with I agree with Russell for sure. This has been a long time coming, so let's get her built. And there's going to be some pushback, but I don't think it's going to. I think the positives are far going to outweigh the negative, right? And we can have time limits. We don't want kids playing basketball at 1 a.m. and that sort of thing. We can have some kind of structure around it, as far as time and noise and that sort of thing.
Yeah, lock the gate.
How many kids, and with COVID and everything now, people have to be careful how many people are gathering and all of that anyways, right? So.
Okay, fair enough. So how about then, I would like to pass it through council just because I feel they're going to want to say it's a big change on the rec site. So are you guys good with a motion to direct staff to proceed with the development of the basketball court on the new location, including full information sessions, public information session, subject to approval by council?
Okay, sorry, if I could, we weren't going to do a public information session. We were going to prepare some public information to communicate. No, we wouldn't hold a public information session.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say public information. I don't want to say
on the village website or something.
And we would do like an e-news. It'd be on our website. We could.
I think we mark it out on the lawn and put it out there and say future site here, something like that, so people can get a visual on it. But anyway,
sure.
leave that to staff.
Okay.
Is information sharing? Is that perfect wording okay? With so it would be proceed with the development of the basketball court on the new location, including information sharing subject to approval of council. Is that capture it?
Comfortable moving that? Okay. Somebody want to move that?
I'll make the motion.
Move it.
Director Mack, second by Director Kennett. Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, you guys. I just got to get my agenda back up. Okay, we're on a 6.4 Pemberton Television Service Information Report. I see we've got some staff joining us. Who is going to be presenting? Ms. Campbell, welcome to both of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Philippa Campbell. I'm Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Project and Research Coordinator. Can I just get a quick check that my sound is okay? Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. So just a brief presentation for this information report, which has been brought in response to resolutions from PEVIS. It has been delayed slightly from the original date as staff are waiting for the results of the Pemberton TV and Radio Society's application to SERP, which would have had a significant impact on the budget for the service. And sorry, that is SERP, Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program grant. So based on communication with the Society in February, I'll quickly run through the key points. Unfortunately, the grant application was not successful. This grant application, which was for just over $315,000, was to completely replace the existing equipment, top to bottom, based on years of service, along with added safety measures. The Society is currently working with their supplier to acquire a quote for conversion of the service to digital, along with electrical upgrades, including power source backups, to create a true emergency backup communication system. In terms of capital improvements, without a long-term funding objectives, the Society can't commit to any capital projects, so we'll repair as necessary going forward. The Society does intend to make a long-term proposal to this committee, and staff have requested that be forwarded to the Director of Finance when ready to be brought for the committee. The PVIS also requested information on costs for radio only, and this information has been included in the report. It was part of the budget information. It's a high-level overview of the split between radio and television for the service for the years 2018 to 2020. Additional operational information will be required from the Society for a detailed view. For example, information on the upgrades that are required. For anything further on that particular piece, I refer to the Director of Finance on that piece. So that's an overview of the information being brought today. I'm happy to take any questions.
Ms. Campbell, any questions? So on next step then is we've financed it obviously in the budget for this year. Wait for the Society to come back with their long-term proposal and see what that looks like, so we don't end up having the same conversation at budget time next year. Is that how what we're looking at?
That was the plan. Excuse me.
Okay. All right, if there's no questions, then I guess just a motion to receive. Director Zahn, second by Director Mack. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Campbell, Ms. LaFrance. A lot of glare out here. 6.5, Blacktail Meadows. I'm assuming we have some other staff joining us there too. Good afternoon, Ms. Belsham.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Are you presenting the report, or is Allison joining us today?
Thank you. My name is Angela Belsham. I'm the Director of Environmental Services with the SLRD, and I will defer to Allison today as she prepared the report for PVIS.
Thank you.
Can you see me?
Nope. I didn't know you were there.
I'm here. You can hear me though. I'm in my I'm in my mobile office at the moment. I'm in my car. So as long as everyone can hear me, I can move ahead with the report though, if you like.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you. So this report is an information report stemming from, we've worked on the Blacktail Meadows for a little while now. It's a piece of Crown land just near Wilson Road that has been used for cross-country skiing, but there's been some issues with skiers crossing private land, as well as the original parking for the area was on someone's private land. So the SLRD's focused its efforts on providing a public parking place off of the Meadows Road over on Wilson Road. And to that end, we applied for a tenure for a parking pad. Later on, we found out that the Pemberton Meadows Fire Department had applied for the same location. So on board direction, we withdrew that application, but we hope to be working with the fire department at some point to partner and still be able to provide parking at that location. And they indicated that that would be something they would be able to help us with. But at the moment, we don't have a Crown Land application or any tenure applications in place for that. So late last winter, some skiers noticed there was a fence across where they had been skiing and thought it perhaps was crossing Crown Land. It is, in fact, the private land boundary. So the fence is in the right place. There's still room. Skiers would have to change their route. I think there's a nice flat section through there that they had been following, but there's a few different routes they can take to continue to use the Crown Land back at Blacktail Meadows. So that can definitely still work for them. I think that's all I had on my report. It's still a feasible project to use that Crown land, but we will be waiting for the fire department to indicate whether they've got their tenure or not. I know they've applied, I think it's at least a month ago now that they're sending in their application. It hasn't shown up on the provincial database yet, and it might be, they're really slow. It might be several months before we even hear from the province at all on that application. So it might be next summer by the time we hear about it.
Great, thanks, Alison. Questions? Dr. Mack.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with, you know, the way we're moving forward. I think we need to let the fire department get their tenure on that site for their fire hall, and then work with them to provide enough parking and work out a plan that allows people to use that area, because it is Crown land. That's fine, but there are people that use it in the back there, like at this time of the year, once the snow is gone, they ride their, you know, motocross bikes and all that stuff in the back there. And we've got to come up with a plan to keep the garbage down and all that kind of stuff once this does go forward. So I think we just need to just allow or let the fire department carry on with their, you know, application, and then see how that all works out.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else got thoughts? Okay, I mean, I'm glad to hear that there's still easy enough access to the Crown land. Eliminates a big level of the conflict here. And, private owners can keep their private fences up. I know it's not a legitimized trail. It's not in our service. I don't know if we would, or we would ask the letter writers, those that have shown concern, to mark the area so that people know what is Crown and what is private, so that if there is ample access, that way we get rid of that problem. And then, like Russell says, we wait to find out with the parking, because that'll be the situation. But it should be marked, is what I'm saying. If we want to eliminate the conflict altogether, it would be nice if it was marked so that people weren't trying to cross these people's land. Okay, I don't think you need any direction at this point, do you, Alison, Angela?
No, I think we can stay the course for now.
Okay, thanks. Can I get a motion to receive then? Director Kennett, seconded by Director Mack. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Alison.
Thank you.
Decision on additional late business. Nothing additional. Late business, correspondence for action, the VOP Nairn Falls parking lot snow clearing. So just as a reminder, when we went through the conversation about how to fund tourism Pemberton, you know, there was a recommendation from council. PVIS went with a slightly higher number, and we provided that funding, but we never accommodated the actual snow clearing portion of their ask. So that's why this invoice has come back to the committee here. We just received it the other day. And it's before you to make suggestions on how you would like to deal with it. Director Mack, go ahead.
Do we have funding in our PDIF fund that would cover this? What is it, $3,300 and some odd dollars? $3,400?
In our recreation and culture fund, we definitely do. And Director C.L. Helmer.
Thank you, Chair. So at this point, we have in the economic development envelope, there's about $7,000 that was not yet spent, that was carried over from 2020. However, the intent was to keep it there for one-time things, as well as to cover the administrative costs of the staff of both local governments. And a portion of that has already been spent on the other local governments. So that's, I would estimate that we could clear it there, but it will reduce most of the remaining balance. And we do have a maximum on that service area of 50,000 that we can tax each year. And this year we've actually committed to 53,500, I think it was. So more than what we're actually taxing for. The Arts and Rec, we have fair amount of money left. There's about $18,000 left of the $20,000 that was planned to be available for one time, as well as an additional roughly $14,000 that was carried over from 2020 that wasn't spent.
Thank you. Did you want to follow up?
Yeah, so that could come out of that Parks and Rec fund then to pay for this.
The Arts and Rec, yeah.
Arts and Rec, is that correct then?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kenneth, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if there's 18,000 there, maybe we can slide over a little bit and pay it, I guess, from that.
C.L. Helmer?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to respond to Director Mack's question. One of the things we typically don't do is provide money to the same group from two different envelopes. Because if it's economic development, we don't give them money out of both pots. But I just bring that up as part of our policy, but perhaps you perceive of the Nairn Falls thing as being something different. I don't know where that would land within our policy requirements.
I mean, I definitely think it's not business related. It's more arts and recreation for sure. So I feel like it fits in that fund. I'm not sure. And really it was a private person who did it for that fee, you know, sort of managed by Tourism Pemberton, but yeah. I'm happy to support it from the Arts and Rec Fund this year, and then look next year when we have the whole conversation about how we fund Tourism Pemberton and all these things. I think we might need to clean a couple of things up, but if it works for this year, I'm okay to pay that invoice through the Arts and Rec Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll move that motion.
Okay.
I can second that.
Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Director's notice of motion. All right, we're going to move into closed. Are we going to have to come back to this link after, Kristen? No, we can just, so we're going to get off the, we're going to leave this meeting and we'll go register, we'll get on the other registered Zoom meeting. You need a few minutes, Kristen?
Thanks, Chair. Just a motion to go into closed, and no, we can go, everybody can disconnect and log back in.
Okay, so motion to go into closed. Director Kenneth, second by Director Mack.
So